Hey, welcome everybody to coffee break session today with John Lyons here from Lyons Den Production. Hey, John, how's it going?
Great. How you doing?
Pretty good. I've been looking forward to this session to chat with you about fiction and fracking is what I put in the title of the event over in the Campaign Network. Um, and And I guess I just want to say hi to everybody else who's here live. Please say hi in the chat. Looking forward to having a conversation with you and as well and getting everybody's sort of input or hearing some ideas on this topic. So what's up, Tamala and Kate? Hello, hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, some more people are streaming in now. Um, so Luann in Michigan, what's up? All right. And where are you tuning in from, John?
So I am based in Erie, Pennsylvania, so northwestern PA by the lake,
Cool.
for those who don't know. Hello, Pittsburgh.
Hey, Gail. I'm in southern tier of New York in Spencer, New York. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Not too far.
yeah. All right, cool. Patricia's here, Tamlis and Carlisle. Cool. So and actually, we have. I know Gail is a writer and does some fiction work, and someone else who registered hasn't said hi yet, but we have a librarian here
Oh,
today,
great.
so well maybe she'll speak up a little bit too. But let's get started. So I don't have Shannon with us today. Sorry, everyone. Shannon's off work this week, so hope
They
that you're
give
having.
Shannon a break? What?
Yeah, Shannon's having a break. But anyway, she says hi. She was hoping that she'd be able to hang out with you, but
All good.
yeah, she couldn't make it today. But let's jump right in. So everybody, John is a filmmaker and Lions Den production, and has an upcoming film called Unearth, which is a fracking horror film. And yeah, we've been sort of chatting a little bit in the Campaign Network about having an event to talk a little bit about fiction and narrative and the role that it has. And so I'm excited about this because it's a little different than going into data and reports and things like that, and kind of going to another aspect of how we connect with people and talk about these issues. So John, would you like to add anything to that introduction? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started as a filmmaker, what got you interested in this issue and joining the network.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I've been, in and out of the Halt the Harm, the Campaign Network. Man, it feels like maybe what, a couple years now at least. So everyone's always working hard, doing great work, and I learned a lot. So I definitely appreciate all of the numbers and the charts and the research. It definitely informs everything that we all do. And for me, as a storyteller, it definitely is important because everything that I do, I like to ground in reality as much as possible. So yeah, so thanks for having me. Happy to be here. I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania. My day job, I actually work in IT. I'm involved in some grassroots environmental groups up here in Erie, Pennsylvania. The main one being the Green New Deal Coalition. Right now, we are primarily focused on trying to educate the community up here about a super sized, as it's been labeled by the owners, a super sized, first of its kind plastics processing facility called IRG is the company, and they want to import into Erie right on the bay. They want to be right on the bayfront, right on the water's edge, import plastic waste from a 700-mile radius in the US, bring it to Erie, flake it, ship it across Lake Erie to Canada, where it will be burned as a Coke alternative, which all just sounds wonderful, right? So that's what that's our big focus now at the Green New Deal Coalition.
Wow.
Because people think it's recycling, because IRG stands for International Recycling Group. And so everyone says, oh, plastics recycling, this is great. 50 jobs, let's do it. So,
wow.
Oh man, looks like Luann knows this story too well. Yeah, greenwashing, exactly.
Wow.
So, to everything that you all are doing, and in the fracking sphere, when I saw Melissa Troutman and Joshua Perbanik's documentary Triple Divide, this is about eight or 9 years ago, and Josh Fox's Gasland came out around the same time. You know, both of these were Pennsylvania documentaries. It had a very strong effect on me, and pretty much ever since, you know, I've been learning as much as I can about the industry, and you know I'm preaching to the choir here, so getting as involved as I can, and then from using my strengths and the tools in my toolbox, creating a fictional story in this world, to try and get the message out in another way. And I guess that's probably the main thing we're going to talk about today. Ryan, am I able to share a screen?
Yeah, you are. You should
All right,
be able to hover over your video and see some options there.
All right.
Yeah, so I also wanted to say thank you for giving me a preview of your film. I was able to watch it, and
You've seen it?
yeah, I've seen it. I did my homework.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty powerful, and it was there's only been one other movie that I've seen before the general audience, so it was truly an honor. So this movie, Unearth, and the movie Logan.
Okay, great.
So
Logan's great.
yeah, Logan's good. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. When is it going to be out for the general public to watch?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, maybe it's not going to let me share my screen. Wow. Well, I'll keep playing around here while we're chatting.
Yeah, you may have to like enable some kind of permission, and
yep, Max.
yeah, and if you need to, refreshing the browser is always can sometimes reset things for
That's
you.
Right. Good point.
But yeah.
So yeah, well, we've been working on it for a long time. We shot in Pennsylvania. The story is there's two neighboring farm families, and they're both struggling to survive. And one day there's a knock on the door with an opportunity, right, Ryan? An opportunity for great wealth, right, to turn things around. It's a natural gas company that we call Patriot Exploration in the film, and this causes a fracture between the two families. One of the families, led by the matriarch, played by Adrienne Barbeau, the legendary Adrienne Barbeau, is firmly against it. The other family, led by the patriarch, Mark Blucas, if there's any Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans out there, signs the lease, and it causes a rift, and the water gets contaminated, and bad things start to happen. So it's a family drama that turns into a horror story. And it's actually going to be, I just got off the phone right before this. It's going to be premiering in Los Angeles, Earth Week. April 20th is going to be the theatrical premiere, and then we're going to open in North American locations on Earth Day. So we will have Earth Day, Unearth Day on the 22nd of April.
Nice. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a long road. All right, I'm going to try and share one more time here. If it doesn't work, then drat.
And I can always share my screen if that's helpful.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Of course, it's going to say quit and reopen if I want to allow Firefox to share my screen. I don't think I can jump out and jump back in. Can I, Ryan? That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, you certainly can. It would only take a few seconds.
All right. You can chat with everybody then. I'll be right back.
I'll do that. Yeah. So I guess we'll take a little public service announcement while we wait for John to reconnect. So the public service announcement is that we have open office hours. We have a number of open slots in the coming weeks. I just called it office hours, kind of like rolled off the tongue, but it really, coffee break sessions where we can get together and network with each other. So if there's something that you want to bring to the network and bring to a forum like this, please send me a message and let me know. I see Tamala's message here. I've started an end single-use plastic. Is that what you're talking about? Campaign. One of my biggest objectives is to incorporate media like this. Can we connect? So yeah, I'm guessing you're wanting to connect with John. So I definitely support that. I'm sure that he'd love to connect with you. And here he is, back.
And we're back.
Hey.
How's it going? What'd I miss?
I just told folks that they could hang out with me sometime at a Friday event, sign up for one of these slots because we have a few open sessions coming up.
It's awesome.
Cool. All right, great. So
can you see my screen?
I can. It looks fantastic.
All right. So thinking about how to reach more people. So like I said, I teach teens the art of filmmaking and how it's a powerful tool that they can use to share their voices and stories with the world. So a little class session for you all. Do you know the difference between a documentary and a narrative? Because sometimes I find when I say, oh, I'm making a movie about fracking and families struggling and caught in between, this industry, and people say, oh, that sounds like a great documentary. Well, it's not a documentary. If you don't know, the difference between a documentary and a narrative is with a documentary, you're recording a true story. And with a narrative, you're interpreting something. So a narrative can be based on something that's happened in real life, but the artist that's making the film is interpreting those events that occurred, whereas a documentary is more like, you're interviewing the real people or people that were really connected to the event, and maybe you have footage from the actual events that are taking place in the movie. So there is a difference, just so you all know. In documentaries, which I've noticed with a lot of the great partner organizations in the campaign network, documentaries are what we all program most frequently. Probably 99% of the time is documentaries. Documentaries are easy for us, for sure. I know this myself, being involved with organizations. But the key point is documentaries are easy for us. But I would argue that sometimes documentaries can limit the attention or the attraction of people that are outside of our organizations and trying to pull them in. They have a niche audience. If you're showing a documentary about fracking, it's going to be extremely exciting for Ryan and I and all of you on this chat but it might be hard to reach some of your friends and neighbors and family. So it's an easier lift for us. Documentaries spell everything out. They inform us right up front by nature. That's what they're supposed to do, to educate. Here's some documentaries that I'm sure we're all familiar with. Ryan, do you recognize some of these?
All of them.
Of course. Of course you do.
Actually, I haven't seen the Lessons of Darkness.
Okay, so Lessons of Darkness, just so you know, is from Werner Herzog. It's about the oil field fires after the first Gulf War. It's fantastic. Check it out. Very disturbing, awful stuff. So Chasing Ice, of course, was nominated for an Oscar, right? Gasland, nominated for an Oscar. If you look at, I hope everybody's familiar with these two websites, but if you're not, imdb.com is a place where you can go to look up, like cast and crew that are in movies, and people can rate the movies. And then Rotten Tomatoes is like an aggregator for critic reviews and viewers of movies to kind of rate movies. So these are kind of the two big websites that I look at to kind of determine the popularity of a movie. So just for example, we all know Chasing Ice, Gasland. I name drop Triple Divide, my friends there at Public Herald earlier. Chasing Ice, for all of us that know it within the industry, only has 8,000 people that have rated it on IMDb and was only reviewed 72 times on Rotten Tomatoes. Gasland, 10,041. A Time to Choose, which I believe was produced by some really well-known people in the movement. Only 245 reviews on IMDb, 22 on Rotten Tomatoes, and so on. So my argument being the point of entry for the general public and exposure for the general public, and thinking of how we can bring more people in to the conversation and the movement may be limited starting out with documentaries. Narratives are much easier for general public. Here's some narrative films. I think I said to you, Ryan, Erin Brockovich wasn't Erin Brockovich until she was Erin Brockovich.
Yep.
Maybe some people on the call, knew about Erin Brockovich and her early efforts. And some of us may even imagine ourselves as being Erin Brockovich, kind of the lone voice up there, struggling against Goliath. But personally, I didn't know about Erin Brockovich until I saw the movie starring Julia Roberts. And I think,
same,
having that narrative film really helped the movement. Sure, a documentary about her life may have had appeal to those of us in the campaign network, but it might have been harder to get people, to get water issues on the general public's radar without this film. Erin Brockovich has hundreds of thousands of ratings on IMDb. And even small independent films that I would strongly recommend you all check out, like Little Woods here, which is available on Hulu, has much more reach to the wider public. So taking it a step further, and here's where it comes in kind of my approach as a filmmaker, is genre films. Now I know genre films are scary, pun intended. And I myself, to be honest, when I was first starting out and making films, horror films were my least favorite movies. Ryan, might be hard for you to imagine, after seeing Unearth, but I was not a fan of horror movies at all. I don't like to be scared, but what I learned over time is that the horror genre is one of the most diverse, most popular, and therefore for one of the most powerful in delivering the stories and the messages that I want the world to hear. So here's some example of genre movies. So genre would be horror, science fiction, action, things of that nature. Mad Max Fury Road has had 1 million ratings on IMDb. Annihilation and Snowpiercer and The Thing, 500,000 ratings on IMDb. These are extremely popular movies. Snowpiercer is a great look at class struggle, class warfare, literally played out visually in a train where you have, the 99% basically in the tail section and the 1% in the front, and talking about the, the division of resources and wealth and power, and telling that story right in a train car. Mad Max Fury Road is, it's a huge, impressive action movie. What it covers also is living in a post-apocalyptic world in the future where water is extremely hard to come by, and fuel is kind of the resource of power, and everyone drives around in gas guzzling vehicles, like killing each other. I mean, it's there's ways that you can take very popular films that work in these areas of conservation, of inequality, and things like that. Like, look at Annihilation. Annihilation is about you being your own worst enemy. There's a natural phenomenon that occurs. There's an environment that's so diverse and kind of thriving in its own kind of. Have you seen Annihilation, Ryan?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Annihilation is there's this in like kind of a just out of nowhere, a meteorite crashes on a beach, and there's this pristine environmental situation that happens and keeps growing further and further out. And when you go inside, it's all these species that are mixed in with each other, and it's a very impressive, like, kind of heady movie, but I think it has a very strong environmental message. So
I'm making a list now because I don't know what to watch.
Right. So I guess what I think might be successful for reaching a broader audience is, when you have events, think of, don't think of it as like lower common denominator exactly, but think of it as accessibility and building on something that's already popular, but maybe analyzing these stories and breaking them down into their elements that can be very useful for the movement and for education and everything we're doing. Kind of bring them in the door, attract them with either genre movies or narrative features. And you can enrich those experiences by doing the things that you all do so fantastically well, which, have Q&As, have panels with experts talking about, what do these movies get right and what do these movies get wrong, and kind of expanding on the information, the limited information that might be provided in these movies, and thinking, how we can kind of broaden that conversation out of them. And then once you get people kind of in the door and interested, then by all means think of ways to work together with documentaries and narratives so that you can build on top of that interest and get people really, really excited. Ryan, my first feature that I made was called Schism, and this was 12 years ago. My father had Alzheimer's, and it was an extremely, difficult situation for anyone that's ever gone through that. I made a feature film about a man that was suffering from Alzheimer's, and it was told from his point of view. So as the viewer, you weren't sure if everything that you saw that was happening in the movie was a hallucination, or if it was really happening in real life. And Alzheimer's, is a taboo subject for many families. It's something you don't talk about. It's a very difficult situation. What we found when we released Schism is, and the picture that's on the right-hand side was the first time we showed it. We actually showed it at Edinburgh University. And the first night we had 800 people there, and the second night we had 800 people there. We showed it all over the place. We started partnering with the Alzheimer's Association and other grassroots groups, talking about mental illness and long-term care and all of those things. And what you find is people that normally would not speak openly about these subjects, the Q&As and the panels would really, they would go sometimes, just as long as the movie, like 90 minutes of people opening up, feeling that they, were comfortable to talk about those subjects. Now, we could have made a documentary about Alzheimer's, and there's many great ones, but getting, 1,600 people in the door in 2 nights, I think would probably be a heavier lift for a documentary. So I guess thinking about that, I have a little self-promotion to show. Ryan, can I show the trailer for Unearth?
Yeah, I believe
Let's see if it works.
See if the video works. Yeah.
Okay. Just yell at me if you can't hear it or something. Let's see.
God help us if we get another refuel this season.
I got you all finished up.
I can do $50 cash.
I don't think you guys are seeing the full picture. Catherine, you got a highway at the back of your field. Where's your dairy business?
I'm telling you, we gotta go big. We gotta get out.
Eddie Drake, Patriot Exploration.
Not interested.
We could pay up to $1,200 an acre.
The world is leaving us.
I know you had a visit today.
You make the decisions as best.
I'll make the decisions that's best for mine.
Does that sound like something you might be interested in?
Jesus, Dad, wake up!
And I just close my eyes for a second.
Stop!
So there you go. Hide the kids. Did that play?
It was a bit choppy on my end, but
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
It's releasing. The trailer's going to release on April 13th, so you'll be able to watch it all over the place. But so so the idea was to make a family drama, and really the entire, Ryan, you can back me up on this. Pretty much the entire first hour of the 90-minute film is a family drama, and really is designed to put you into an empathetic place with the families, understand the situation they're in, understand how the industry takes advantage of that situation, and kind of puts the families in impossible situations. And then of course it turns to the horror elements, which are what we will get most of our audiences in the door on, is bring them in with the horror and then kind of educate them on the sly, right, is kind of the mission. So you asked when it's available. The thing that's really exciting is it's going to be opening in theaters both in person in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles, as of this week, is at 50% capacity, which is cool. So we're going to do a couple screenings in LA, but a lot of virtual theater. So, I guess for those who are on the call that, might be interested in, talking about doing a screening or something like that, we can talk about that. But I think that's all I had as far as a PowerPoint. Let me see if I can jump out of here. Jump back in, Ryan. Okay. Can you see me again?
Yes.
Okay. So that's my little pitch. How we can use maybe narrative and genre films, to kind of pull more people in the door. What do you all think?
Yeah, let us know in the chat. And I love it. Thanks so much for bringing up this point. And I like that you compared the number of ratings. We went like, at first when you were like, yeah, 250 something ratings, I was like, that's pretty good. It's a lot of work to ask people to, go leave a rating. There's lots of people that probably like the film who never bother to rate it. And then
Right.
you're like, yeah, and Aaron Brockovich has like, how many thousands again?
Hundreds of thousands, like a million, a million reviews.
Yeah. Okay. So like 250 versus a million. I mean, it's pretty big difference right there. So, and then, it kind of puts me back into remembering, oh, right. Like that's actually what influenced me, it's always been narrative films that have influenced me because they connect at that emotional level and that sort of deeper level than the facts do. And we get angry at industry because we see them spinning things and, lying right through the teeth. And what they're doing is they are just focusing on narratives and emotions. And we have to be able to use those same tools, whether it's through film, like what you're talking about, but even just in the way that we talk about the issues, like.
Yeah, stories. People like stories.
Yeah. And stories. And I guess, so I'm wondering if you have any input for like kind of tiny examples of, ways that non-filmmakers, people who don't consider themselves to be artists or storytellers, but who can engage still in narrative work.
I think, yeah, we just, so for those who have seen The Story of Plastic, we just had an event with them and Gaia on Wednesday night, and something that Steve Wilson, who's one of the producers of the film, said is, yeah, really, really the way to go is with personal, like, impact stories. If you can tell it from a personal level, we're like we were talking about before, like we get the stats and, that's hard proof, right? That's, you can't argue against, this many microplastics are in this body of water in this size sample. It's, you can turn away from that and you can just say, well, that's just numbers. I don't want to deal with that. But if you have a story of, people that, there's been, some fantastic reporting on this recently, studying families, right? And, their urine tests and their blood tests and things like that. I think when you make it more personal, and you make it something that can be more relatable, if you're not a filmmaker or a writer, telling stories about how it affects your friends and neighbors and your family members and, the hardship and the struggle, that's something that people can relate to on that emotional, get them on that emotional level. What's everybody saying in the chat here? I'm missing. Did you find anything, Ryan? Any questions or comments? Or
Can you see the chat all right?
Yes, I got it up here.
Yeah. So, yeah, just like a lot of agreement, wanting to organize screenings. I volunteered with a community organization that was doing work around mountaintop removal, coal mining, and as a volunteer, because I wasn't from the area, I was part of the listening project. So they basically said, if you're not from here, then you need to go door to door and just listen to people. That's what you're here to do, which is super cool. So that's a whole other topic. But point being,
Yeah.
this organization also knew that there was a lack of opportunities, particularly for youth, to do stuff in this small town. So they had a house in this town in Naima, West Virginia, and they had film nights, every week, and where they just played films like science fiction films and adventure and Star Wars and stuff like that, and then had discussions, and they brought people in and had popcorn, and they just talk about the issues. And I just thought that was so great that it was this community activity that it wasn't even about trying to convince anybody of anything. It was honestly just like, let's create a space.
Yeah.
But because it was known that like this house was part of the campaign, naturally the people who showed up would ask questions. And anyway, I just think that when we take this narrative approach, we're also acknowledging that the way to build a movement isn't just through, I need to convince you of something. Because I think that I'm here to convince you like attitude is what turns a lot of people off from activists in the first place. It's like, oh, I don't want to be involved in that, because those people are always just trying to convince me of something. They're always trying to change my mind.
Mhm.
Right. And so I feel like there's so much to learn in this area.
It's a good point.
All right. I'm taking up all the space here. There's some good comments. All right. Thanks everyone for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I see some great titles here. Promised Land, Gasland 2. Let's see. I have just, if anybody's interested, I mean, I'm in the campaign network, and our website's unearthmovie.com. You can get a hold of me either way, but I actually have a menu worked up of documentary films, narrative films that fit into like the variety of themes that are in Unearth. So like water contamination, inequality, fracking, all of that stuff. So if anybody's looking for ideas of movies to program, I can definitely, maybe Ryan, I'll send those to you too, and we can compare notes. But yeah, happy to help.
Awesome.
Reading through here.
So there's a Luann says, has anyone seen the South African film called Unearthed?
There's if they mean also a horror movie, there's a documentary that's Unearthed ED, and there's a horror movie called Unearthed, which is about some kind of like a cave or a drilling or something, and monsters come out of it. I wonder which one they're talking about.
Sounds like Luann says the documentary.
Okay, I have not.
Cool.
But of course, when you put the title out there, you look and see if anybody else is using Unearth. There were no present Unearth at the time that I thought was competitive. Yeah, I mean, and there's great ones that you all are showing, and Frack Tracker is showing some great ones. I mean, I love documentaries for sure. I'm showing them all the time. I also program, I didn't mention this, but I'm the director of programming for the Film Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania. So I do all of our event booking. When we were in pre-COVID times, we had a dinner and a movie series on Wednesday nights we would, have a meal and watch a movie, and we would have like 75, 100 people come out, and I see it. And my passion is with, environmental justice and, societal issues. And when I program documentaries or films that, may not be in the English language that I think are so important for people to see, the attendance drops. It is difficult. But if I program something like, Annihilation or Snowpiercer or Mad Max Fury Road, and then have a panel after it, then, I can reach like a full house, and kind of not pushy, like you were kind of alluding to, Ryan, not being like hitting them over the head with it, but, you can ask questions in leading ways of like, what do you think this means, and what was your interpretation of this, and stuff like that, and kind of open up the conversation that way.
Yeah, totally. I have a question for you. So I sometimes wonder with science fiction and especially films that are about, like, let's say the Hunger Games, for example. So like Hunger Games was this, like, kind of blew my mind when I first read the book and watched it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so much commentary about our society, right? And about ways that we, you have this District 12, and then you have the Capitol, and people are living this lifestyle of gluttony, and all these other people have to, work and in the mines, and all the resources are getting sucked up, and then they distract everybody by having them fight each other.
Yeah.
And it was just like so much commentary. And then at the same time, I wondered if having that commentary in popular culture kind of makes us get used to it. Like, oh yeah, like society's like super corrupt. What are you gonna do? What do you think about that topic? Like, does it desensitize us?
Is it normalizing it or
Yeah.
desensitizing us?
Like, does it normalize the idea of like, does documentaries about just like really, a dystopian future of like corporate, like, singularity, does that normalize it and make us not fear it as much, not willing to take action and make it seem inevitable?
I think the thing that makes me hopeful about that, I think probably like our generation, I'm going to lump you in with me. I don't know how old you are, but our generation and older, perhaps. But the thing that makes me excited for the future is, I was reading like young people now, like millennials and Zoomers and stuff like that. Like when they are looking for a place that they want to work, they check and see if they, kind of what their social justice components are of their companies. And they say that that's like, it was really high. It was like, I'm going to say 70 or 80% of their considerations when deciding what kind of company they're going to work for. So I think that the generations that are coming up recognize it perhaps in a different way, and the way that I'm happy that they're thinking about those issues. Not necessarily like a cancel culture kind of a way, but in more of like a soft approach of like, well, if I'm deciding between two products, or I'm deciding between two businesses or employment opportunities, because of the things that I've heard and learned, that's informing my decisions of who I'm going to support kind of in all aspects of life. That makes me hopeful, I guess. I will say, Ryan, you should check out, if you haven't seen it, the film Battle Royale, which I feel like Hunger Games stole from, if you haven't seen Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Do you know Battle Royale?
That's a South Korean movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, because I hope that at some point, when can start going to gatherings again. I'm looking forward to doing some like film screenings and stuff. For those of you who don't know, my other life outside of Halt to Harm is I'm a librarian, and one of the things I do is organize and host events at the library. So film screenings and kind of knowing about interesting movies that I can connect people with is kind of a big passion of mine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm sure like book readings and all
Oh,
kinds of stuff like that. Yeah. Just telling stories.
Yeah. Super important.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Anybody else have any questions for John or anything you want to bring up in the chat, please do. And so we got your link here in the chat, unearthmovie.com. You've got some stuff coming up in, you said around the 20th?
Earth Week.
Earth Week, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And big stuff but this is kind of like, kind of, again, repeating what I said with Schism, my Alzheimer's movie. This is my hope for Unearth, is that whether it's in the virtual space, or limited theatrical options in person, building this conversation. I mean, you should like check out some of the reviews of Unearth, and you'll see that there's people that comment, like, holy, like, I'm never gonna let anybody do any drilling in my neighborhood, and like it's people like from all across the world that maybe like in Spain fracking isn't such a big issue, but when they see this film, they're it makes me happy, some of the reactions. So yeah, the hope is that reaching more people, doing my little part from the filmmaking side while you all are working extremely hard.
Thank you so much for that. And it's great to have you be part of the network, because it represents just how many different kinds of people and kinds of interests and kinds of skills that make up what a network really is about. So
yeah, you got a good assembly of people here. It's pretty cool. I learn a lot every day, these events, and it's great. Thanks for putting it on. Awesome.
Well, hey, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, thanks for being here. I'll just remind, if anybody wants to, talk movies, recommendations, or, have Unearth play to your group or partner up with a theater, yeah, just get a hold of me and let's blow it up.
Cool. Mary's asking if you'll share your contact info.
Oh yeah, sure.
And of course, John's in Campaign Network as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure you also have other contact info.
Yeah, of course.
It's okay, Mary. I won't be offended if you use email also. Campaign Network might be the center of my world, but it doesn't have to be everybody's.
I'll just throw our general one in there. It's just info at everybody.
Okay, that has an R in it, so don't copy and paste.
Oh, who typed that?
Info. That'll throw some people off.
Ignore it.
There we go.
There we go. Phew.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, John, and thank you, everyone. Kate, Mary, Gail, Tamala, Luann, all the folks who participated in the chat. Lori, great to see you all here, and looking forward to connecting again next week at Coffee Break and future events. Oh,
no coffee at Coffee Break.
I have a science fiction movie for you, John. Just a quick aside.
Let's hear it.
So our fight that has recently emerged here in the Finger Lakes is a Bitcoin mining facility owned by a couple millionaire bros in Connecticut who have their own private fracked gas power plant
Oh,
that's
really?
pumping out like toxins and using the freshwater lake as their cooling resource, making tons of noise and burning through tons of fuel for the sole purpose of running their servers for
This sounds like
Bitcoin
pure
mining.
evil.
I mean, yeah. Luann says can't make this stuff up, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway, this is crazy. It is. It's totally psychotic sounding, Kate. It sounds like a plot to like a science fiction movie, right? So
it's somebody James Bond is going to, infiltrate.
yeah. And so I'll share a link so everyone can see
Yeah, please. Jeez.
the link to this facility, because on their website they literally say like people think I'm making this stuff up, right? I'm like, and then you go to their website and this is how they market themselves. They say now providing blockchain services, right? So it's a power generation company whose sole purpose is running like multiple like floors of computer servers, basically. That's it. That's all they're doing. They're helping a couple millionaires get rich and burning power in our little town for no other reason than for this. So anyway, yeah, there's a movie for us there.
I'm sorry.
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you just throw in clean power, right? Clean power. I saw there's green in the title, so I was like, okay.
yeah. Here's a link. We're actually having an event here on Crowdcast next week on Tuesday, I believe, about this. So you can come and check it out. Bitcoin mining and energy use, what you need to know to protect your health. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, April 7th.
Thank you.
Join us there. It'll be really interesting. I know that this is going to be spreading to other places because this whole topic of like privately owned gas plants is kind of like a new trend that's starting to pop up. So we've been following it really closely here. So
thank you. Thanks. That's the new horror story. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Well, I'm sure you'll come up with some cool ideas. So don't keep it a secret. Share your plots and character mock-ups with me.
Okay. We'll get right to work.
Awesome. Sounds good. It was great to hang out with you today, John.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Pleasure.